And welcome back, y'all. Welcome back to the show. Woo! We are just moving through the month of July. Can you believe it? Yeah, this is our second show. Yeah. Well, welcome back to this fourth episode of our series. Last week, we took a break for 4th of July. We talked a little bit about how do we manage the holidays. So go back and watch that if you've not done that, because those things are going to be valid for you going forward into the rest of the year and actually for the rest of your life. But in this fourth episode of our series, The Power of a Positive Mindset, we're going to explore the profound impact that our positive thoughts can have on our health and our lives every day. So today we're going to delve into the fascinating realm that connects those two as we unlock this transformative potential for a positive mindset. So just join me, relax, sit back. If you've got some friends, let them know that we're here, we are back, and we're moving through the power of a positive mindset. And we're working on getting our health better. We're getting our lives better. We are creating the lives we've always wanted. If you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health, your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level right here. If you're new to me, go ahead and put new in the comments because I'd love to give you a shout out, give you some music, and let's get that down there. That's right. Give you some music and a hand clap. All right, so make sure that you go ahead and you put that in the comments. Also, if you're new and you have a question, or you're an existing community member and you have a question, go ahead and put that also in the chat and put a Q and a colon in front of it, and we'll get to those as we get through the show. Yeah, guys and gals, it is. That's right. It is the second week of July, and I'm just so excited that we are moving through. We're in the second half. Let's pause there. We're in the second half of the year. And remember, this year, 2023, is the year that we're jumping off, right? We're not taking things the way they were. We're not doing things the way we've been doing them before. We are using this year to make a better life. We're creating the life we've always wanted. We're taking charge of our health and our lives, as I say at the top of the show, if you're not familiar with that, right? So shout out to everybody who has been engaging with us on our YouTube channel, on all of our social media platforms. Dwayne Wood MD, if you've not been out there yet, and I think, let me see, do I have that up here somewhere? Go ahead and, I think this is it. Well, I'll get that up there for you in just a minute so you can see. But Dwayne Wood MD is you can find that on all of our social media platforms. And there you go. That's right. Down at the bottom in that lower left. Dwayne Wood MD. You can find us there on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, and of course here on the channel. So go ahead and get out there and see us. We did a video, a short this weekend. I was out with my son, hanging out, just having some fun. We talk about creating the life we want. So you got to make sure that you're taking those opportunities to get out there and to hang out with the people that you love, the people who are part of your community. And I'm glad that you who are here are part of our community, right? All right, so let's hop over and let's go ahead and let's get started. But first, let me do this. And I've been talking about the things that we're doing on the channel. So let's see. Yeah, there we are. Okay. And that's the channel. Of course, the one at the top there is what we're doing today. And you'll see Mastering Diabetes is a course that we did, a series that we did, has about 25 videos in it. You want to make sure that you get there. Reinventing Yourself, Designing a New You, right? Which is a perfect pairing of the episodes that we've done over the last 5 weeks now, on the power of a positive mindset. Also, the Letting Go series that we did back, and there were six videos, I think, in that episode. So these 3 guys are a wonderful group of videos. Get your family, get your friends together, begin walking through those, because there's a lot of great information in there. So that's The Art of Letting Go. Like as I said, that one that you see right there. And then, of course, the one that we're doing right now is The Power of a Positive Mindset. But not just that, we've done several other videos. There's this one, The Doctor as the Entrepreneur. And I think I may rename that, right? Because it's not just for physicians. It is based on a book for physicians, but the content that you see there can be used for anyone, okay? Anyone who is interested in realizing some of the gifts that they have, some of the talents that they have. Sometimes we have gifts, we have things that we can do that we don't realize that we can put out there for people to use. And this is specifically, how do we monetize some of the gifts that we have, right? So make sure that you go ahead and watch that one. And then, of course, all of our videos that we've done on diabetes. And if you remember, my wife and I did several episodes together. We've had several guests that have been on. There are about 400 videos out there, guys, right now. So I'm not going to belabor that and go through them, but make sure that you get out there and that you are watching, and that you're making sure that you are able to utilize and get some benefit from all of those things that you see. All right, so let's hop over and let's talk about what we're doing tonight. And tonight we're talking about the relationship between health and positivity, right? Positivity and health. And this is in the series, though, The Power of a Positive Mindset. You remember this graphic. But we're talking specifically about positivity in health. Positivity in health. Often, when we think about health, we think that health simply, in health, we're talking about disease processes, okay? So you may have a particular disease process, and we've talked about diabetes and high blood pressure and high cholesterol. We've had folks that have been on that have talked about cancer and the impact of cancer on the body and cancer on health. But whatever disease process you have, there is a component that is very much affected by the mind. In fact, I say a component, but we're finding that there is a lot of the disease process that's affected by the mind, because the mind affects every cell in our body. Let me pause. That's right. Pause for effect. So every cell in the body is affected by what goes on in other parts of the body, right? So if and we talked a little bit, and later in the show we're going to talk again about this neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity said that there are these hormones that come out as a part of our reward, our anticipation, our anticipation and pleasure. Okay, so dopamine and so forth, dopamine, serotonin. Well, those hormones, when they come out, they are flooding the system. They're flooding the body. And so those are hormones that will help us to anticipate, right? That's why we create those new neural networks. Anticipate something. So you smell something that reminds you of a time before, and your entire body goes into almost a time warp, right? Because it's almost like it's back then. So your mom used to make whatever the dish is, or whatever the special thing that you like, or your mom and you and your dad and you used to do a particular thing, and you are walking by, say your kid, and used to play baseball, basketball, football, whatever the sport is, or you're a young lady and you and your mom used to have these special times that you guys bonded, and you're walking by a field, right, and you smell a smell, and immediately it takes you back. Why does that happen? Right? Because the brain remembers. And when that happens, all the hormones, all the neurochemicals that were then, that used to be there, they begin flooding the body again. So all of those cells now are awash with the same thing. right? Or like I said, for one of the young ladies, you and your mom used to hang out and used to do a particular thing. There's a particular activity that you guys did together, and you walk by the building or you see something that reminds you of what you and your mom used to do, and all of a sudden your brain takes you back there. So don't forget that this brain, this tissue that we have in our heads, has the ability to do so much that we have not even begun tapping into. But that's an important thing to remember, that it has also a big part to play in our health. Dr. Man Dang was on, this is maybe about 2 years ago. I've got to bring him back. And he's a hematologist, oncologist. So he deals with cancer patients. And he said, as we were talking here, he said that the people who tend to do better in their cancer treatments are those people who are positive, those people who have connection and are surrounded by a positive environment. I mean, that's an amazing thing to say. And we're talking about cancer here. So the connection between the mind and health is not a flimsy one, and there is science to support it. Okay, so once again, we're talking about this positivity in health. And, here's the slide, right? So research has shown that there's a link between positivity and improved health. This is the same reason why, at the hospital, for example, we will find in a lot of places, they have dogs, animals. I said dogs, but actually there are all kinds of animals that come through the hospital. When I was working at the Children's Hospital in Dayton, or even the Children's Hospital down in Birmingham, they had these animals that would come through, and the process of having the animals come and be with the patient's attitude picked up. They started to think more positively, and they, right, invariably got better. Right now, I'm not saying, right, and I want you to hear me, right, I'm not saying that if you have, brain cancer or lung cancer or whatever cancer, that the positivity takes the cancer and just destroys it. Right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that people do better with positive mindset in their treatment. Now, there are cases where we've seen where patients have come in and, hey, we can't find that whatever it is anymore, right? That's a whole nother story, right? And it can't happen. But what we're saying is that the positive mindset allows people to be or deal better with their disease process. Yep. Okay, all right. So there's this link. And there are links, and we're going to go through several cases. When I say cases, several different disease or areas of the body where this is the case, right? And we'll kind of talk through these as we go through. So the first one is to think about the heart, right? So people with heart disease, people with a heart disease history in their family, who also had a positive mindset, have a positive outlook, people who were able to reframe, right? That's one of the ways that people can develop positive mindset. Reframe, meditation, learning and using, right, the power of now, right? That whole idea of nowness, right? Not thinking about the future, not thinking about the past, but being in the present. Right? Mindfulness. Those people were found to develop heart disease, right, at a lower rate than others. Let me say that again. People who had a family history of heart disease, who also had a positive outlook, right? They had they were 1/3 less likely to have a heart attack or other cardiovascular diseases. Yeah. That's how powerful the brain is, right? The power of a positive. Now, there are lots of reasons, lots of theories about why that happened. A big part of it is probably because the positivity that we have decreases the stress hormones that we have in the body and floods us with other hormones that have positive benefit in the cardiovascular space. So when we're not positive, when we're negative, when we are uptight, when we're anxious all the time, those stress hormones come up, and they basically, it's almost like taking a hose. That's the hose, the vessels where the blood is going through. It's almost like taking that hose and squeezing it. When you squeeze that hose, what happens? That the water that's in it, the pressure goes up. So blood pressure goes up. Blood pressure is bad for the heart. It's bad for the kidneys. It's bad for it's bad for the brain, because you can have the stroke because of high blood pressure. So when we have people who have a positive mindset, then it has protection for the heart. And so this study says, hey, people, even though they have a family history, and family history is high on the list of things that predisposes someone to heart disease. You know, dad had it, grandfather had it, cousin had it, uncle has it. So there's a lot of the men in the family. And so the likelihood of having a heart attack or having a heart condition is increased. But people who are positive, we're saying that decreases by 1/3, y'all, 33%. Isn't that amazing? Just by thinking positively. Amazing, amazing. Oh, look at that. We've got a visitor. We got Tech Troublemaker. What's up, man? Glad. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for hanging out with us. Let me move that over there. There we go. Yeah. If you've not been over there yet to Tech Troublemaker, make sure you get over. And if you're interested in technology, and he is a good resource, and he has a fun show. I was on his show a little while back. Go back and watch that one. But thanks for coming through, Roy. We are talking about positivity and health. Positivity and health. Now, you know, I started doing this series, and I've been interspersing them with the medical stuff that we do right here on the channel. So endocrinology, you guys hear me say that all the time at the top of the show. I'm an endocrinologist, but we talk about education and health and so forth. And people say to me, well, why is health? Why do you do a health show? And then why are you talking about mindset? And why are you talking about positivity? Why are you talking about letting go? This is it right here. This is why we do it, because there is such an interplay between the things that we do, the things that we see, between the body and all the hormones and all the neurotransmitters and chemicals that happen. Okay, so we want to make sure that not only are we talking to you about, take that medicine, make sure you are taking your insulin or your diabetes medicine or your cholesterol medicine, make sure that you're seeing your rheumatologist, and make sure you're getting your thyroid checked, all those things. But we also want to make sure that we're dealing with this piece of tissue that's up here in our brain, because it has such a big impact on everything else. So heart, so 1/3 less, right? The other thing is, people who have a positive mindset, and this makes sense, should make sense to you, that people have better emotional states. So lower stress and lower depression. Lower stress and lower depression. That should make a lot of sense to you, because we just talked about those stress hormones. When people are having positive attitudes, then they are able to deal with those emotional states much better. Now, let me give you an example. Patients who are diabetic have to control blood sugars. And we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But when they are stressed, the hormones that come out when they're stressed make them sometimes eat more. And I'm telling you, they don't eat like broccoli, right? At least I don't. If you're a diabetic out there, maybe you do eat broccoli. But yeah, they don't crave broccoli. All right, what do they crave? They crave those things that gives them a sugar boost, and that kind of seems to calm them down. So when we're stressed, right, those stress hormones come up, and if we're not careful, then that stress hormone that just came up makes us eat something, or itself, it can cause higher blood sugars, and all of a sudden, right, we're going down that rabbit hole. So people who have a positive mindset, people who have positivity, people who are working on those can have less stress in their lives. They deal with stress better. So let me back it up, right? It's not that they have less stress in their lives, right? Let me not say that. Their ability to deal with the stress is better. Right? So that's the key. That's the key component right there. Because sometimes the things that they're going through is still there. Right? Mom is still sick. Son or daughter is still not behaving the way mom and dad wants. There may still be the relational problems, the relational problems that you have. There still may be that issue that you have on your job. But because of the positivity, you're able to deal with that better. And depression is a huge issue. And this one is something that we don't talk a lot about. And there's, to my mental health colleagues that are out there, all of you who are shedding light on the fact that there are so many of us that are moving through our lives and we're not having fulfilling lives, and we're suffering because of mental illness. And mental illness, emotional illnesses, all of those things are there, and this becomes a big issue, right? And I don't want to say it's a bigger issue than things like diabetes and high blood pressure, but it's up there, y'all. And you know why? People are much more likely to show up for medical care, to get their blood pressure under control, to get their cholesterol under control, to get their diabetes under control, but they feel ashamed to say, hey, I'm dealing with depression. They say, hey, they're ashamed because for some reason we've convinced people that that it's a moral failure. You're just a weak person if you are suffering from depression or anxiety or any one of those, and that is not the case at all. Okay, so let me just throw that in there, just a plug. So make sure that if you're having issues, guys and gals, make sure that you're dealing with them. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. How many times? There's nothing wrong. Let me say it 3 times. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I need some help. I need some assistance. I need to talk to someone. I need to get some of this stuff off of my chest, get it out of my head. Because you know what happens? A lot of times we stay in our heads and we go down that rabbit hole. And we start with something that may be not as, great for our day. And before long, it's 2 weeks later and we've been in that cloud for the entire time. Yes, positive mindset has such a positive impact on cancer patients as well. Yes, definitely. As I said, Dr. Mandang was on our show, probably a year and a half ago now. And he made that point of saying that people who do better with their cancer treatments, people who do better with their cancers overall, are those who have a positive mindset, those who are in relationship, connected to a community. And they're getting that boost from it. So thank you for saying that. Definitely. Okay. All right. So once again, lower stress, lower depression for people who have positive mindset, and those themselves can have big impacts on other parts. And we're not going through all of the connections, but a lot of this you will see that they're connected, right? So depression is connected with anxiety, and anxiety connected with poor blood sugar control. Poor blood sugar control is connected with heart disease, and heart disease connected with so on and so forth. So people who have positive mindsets, people who have positivity, people who are dealing with their lives in a positive way, those people have less opportunistic infections. Now, let's take a very simple one. The common cold. People who are negative seem to catch colds a lot more frequently. This is just me saying it. This is research that has said that. So those an opportunistic infection is something that just happens, right? So it's not like you have a disease process in you and all of a sudden that disease, like cancer or liver disease or kidney disease and so forth. This is, you're just going along your business and you get an infection. Somebody sneezes on you, or you touch something, you pick it up, right? One of those opportunistic infections. So you're more likely to have opportunistic, or less likely to have opportunistic infections if you have a positive mindset. That's amazing to me. right? So I can, because we're always talking about take your vitamin C and make sure you're washing your hands and make sure you're sanitizing and make sure, right? So all those things. But one of the big things that we could do, one of those big pills that we can take is a dose of positivity. Because when we do that, right, we're less likely to contract those diseases. That for me is amazing, right? So less likely to have opportunistic infections like the common cold. All right. So lower rates of heart disease. And we talked about this with the 1/3 lower risk of heart attacks, right? Even though the people have family history. Now here we're talking about all the other things. So lower blood pressure, lower rates of MI, lower risk of death from cardiovascular disease. Once again, we gave that example for the high blood pressure. It's kind of like the stress causes that constriction of the hose or that vessel, and that process causes high blood pressure. That high blood pressure can cause kidney damage. It can cause a heart attack. It can cause a stroke, right? It can cause other parts of for you to have other vascular issues in the body simply because of stress. An MI or heart attack, right? That we a lot of people times we'll say, hey, one of the signs is this feeling of impending doom. Yeah, so a lot of times people have that. Oh, something is happening, right? That's because of all of these changes that are going on in the body. Remember, the cells in the body. One of the things that I love science. I love science and I love technology, right? So Tech Troublemakers on here. I love that name, by the way. So this idea of technology, right? I love whenever I'm watching a movie, they talk about the nanites or these nanobots, these microscopic machines, right? And they all kind of talk to each other. I sometimes envision the body like that. It's just a bunch of nanites, a bunch of cells. And those cells themselves don't have any, they don't have any direction. And so the brain, the mind, and all the neurotransmitters, all of the hormones, all the chemicals, all the proteins, all the enzymes that are in the body are directing those nanites, those little cells, the little machines to do stuff. And whatever signal is coming from the brain is what's infused into the cells. It's infused into the cells. So if there's a negative signal that's coming, that's what the cells are getting. And if there's a positive signal, that's what the cells are getting. Okay. Now for all of my medical colleagues and science guys who are out there, that was just an analogy. Okay. That's just an analogy. But in a lot of cases, or in a real sense, right? And I'm talking now as an endocrinologist. When a hormone comes out, that hormone washes over all the cells. It's kind of like blood sugar. People think that, we talk about the triopathy, retinopathy, neuropathy, and nephropathy. Those are the triopathy. Those are the things that the body gets damaged. All right. The most common things that get damaged in the body because of diabetes and high blood sugars. But all the cells in the body are seeing the same blood sugar. So people sometimes will say, well, I don't know why, I have erectile dysfunction, right? So that's an inability to get an erection or poor erection for men. The reason that happens is because the same blood sugar that's causing damage to the heart and damage to the kidneys and damage to the eyes is the same blood sugar that is being seen by all parts of the body, including the penis. So all of those things can be affected. People say, I don't know why my skin is dry. Well, your skin is dry if you have diabetes, because diabetes affects the ability of the skin cells to turn over effectively and for your skin to stay moist, because they're seeing high blood sugars. People say, I don't know why my hair is falling out. Well, not for me. I got a different issue going on up there. Right? But the hair cells are seeing that same blood sugar, the high blood sugar. So same thing for everything that we talk about in the body, right? So lower blood pressure, lower rates of MI, and of course lower risk of death from cardiovascular disease. And then there are some other things, right? And we've mentioned diabetes, but let's talk about these. So here's one. How about this? You live longer if you're positive. Because positivity affects all the disease process. It decreases inflammation. It decreases stress hormones. It helps to lower blood pressure. Helps to lower blood sugar. It helps you sleep better, right? That deep sleep. And we say that the body rejuvenates, the body replenishes, the body rebuilds during sleep. So if you're not getting good sleep because you're negative, or because you are not reframing, or you're not having a positive mindset, or you're not practicing mindfulness, or you don't have a morning routine, a daily routine that you go through to try to decompress. If you don't have those things in place, and your brain is always going because it's keeping everything in there, you don't have a journal, and you go to sleep and you can't get that deep sleep, you're not getting that restorative deep sleep that we say that people need. Yeah. So all of those things, once again. Okay. So when we talk about positivity, it's not just, hey, this one thing, right? So live longer. That's a big one. If nothing else gets better, I want to live longer. Okay. We have better resilience. We have better ability to deal with things. Right? That's a word a lot of people are throwing around now. So resilience has to do with your ability to have something happen in your life and to bounce back from it. Right? So that project didn't work out, but that's okay. I'm going to bounce back and I'm going to do something else. That relationship didn't work out, but I'm bouncing back. I'm doing something else. That job that I wanted didn't work out. I interviewed for it. I didn't get the job, but I'm bouncing back. So resilience has to do with your ability to bounce back and move on. So when you have a positive mindset, when you're positive, you have better resilience, and better resilience helps you with health. Right? And we're going to talk a little bit more about some of that here in just a minute. Okay? And of course, better lower blood sugar. Right? Now, I can talk for hours about the effect of our life, and I'm not talking about, eating and exercising. So I'm talking about our emotional state on blood sugars. That's a conversation we can have for a long time, because once again, it's another one of those spaces where we tend not to connect the two. We have patients who come in all the time and they have high blood sugars, and genuinely they are doing the things that we're talking about, right? They're taking their medicine, they're exercising, they're eating well, but guess what? They're not getting good sleep, or they're stressed, or they don't have a way of decompressing. And all those things will cause high blood sugars. And so we have people come in all the time and say, I don't know what's going on, Dr. Wood. And so we walk through with them and say, hey, tell us a little bit about what's going on in your life right now. Like I had a lady who blood sugars were high, and was in that space that we were talking about, where she's doing all the things. And we say, hey, what's going on? Tell us what's happening in your life. It turns out mom was in the hospital, and she was going back and forth to the hospital, and she was traveling about 2 hours to get to the hospital, see mom, right, hang out with her at night, and then get back home, take care of the kids, get up in the morning, go to work, right? And all day she's thinking about mom and so forth. So yeah, so stress can have a big component. So it helps to lower blood sugars. So these are additional health benefits for patients, not just patients, but clients and everybody who are having a positive mindset. Okay, so make sure that we are touching and dealing with all those things, right? So health benefits. All right. So when we talk about positivity, remember, and if you have not done so, I want you to go back and I want you to watch the first 3 episodes, 3 installments of this series. One of them, we talked about the key parts of positivity, right? And these are the things that we need, y'all. Okay. So all the health benefits that we just talked about, all of the effects that you see on your health come through positivity. And these are the key components of positivity. So optimism. Optimism is the ability to see something and anticipate a better time, better place, better process in the future. So I'm optimistic. So right now, my XYZ is not working the way I want it to, but I'm optimistic that it's going to work in the future. Right? This is a great one for people who are struggling with weight. Right? So my weight is not where I want it to be. I'm exercising. I'm going to the gym. I'm lifting weights, and I don't see a benefit right now, but I anticipate that it's going to be better in the future. I anticipate that that's going to work. So I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic about that. Resilience. Resilience we just talked about. Resilience, that ability to bounce back when we don't see, when something happens, we're able to basically I don't want to use the recoil, but bounce back from that. So that's resilience. Gratitude, that I am thankful right now where I am in this space. Everything around me may not be working around, but I am thankful. Like right now, I'm thankful that I'm here talking to you. I'm thankful that Roy stopped by. I'm thankful that you're watching this on the replay. I'm thankful that you shared this with a family member. Right? So thankful. What am I thankful for? So I may not be in the best space, but I woke up this morning, y'all. I'm breathing. I'm able to understand you. I'm able to read. I'm able to do my job. I'm thankful for all those things. So gratitude. And as you begin practicing and being in a state of gratitude, you begin to see that, there's a lot of stuff that may not be going the way that I want them, but my gratitude certainly helps me to improve, right? Constructive thinking. This is the ability to see a problem and to begin looking for solutions, which comes from positivity. If I'm positive, then when something happens, I don't just go to the negative and say, okay, well, that's it. It's not going to work. Boom, I'm done. So if I'm positive, I begin now looking for ways. Okay, that didn't work out, but what about this thing over here? It's kind of like, I was going to geek out there for a minute. So when I guess I'll use it anyway. So when I was coming through school and when I was training and I was working, we would write these programs, right? And this is back in the days, people still sit and code. But if you were writing a program for, say, a map, like MapQuest, okay? And what you would do is you would write a piece of code and it would say, go down this street, because you're trying to get from point A to point B. And so now you write a code, it goes down this street and it doesn't get there. It comes back and goes down another street, goes there. It comes back and go back. And it keeps doing that, keeps trying to find, right, until it finds a path to between point A and point B. Okay. So you may anticipate that, but that's okay. That's that's the one I got. And that's what it is. Constructive thinking says, hey, that didn't work, but I'm trying something else. That didn't work, I'm trying something else. That didn't work, I'm trying this here. And we keep trying until we get the solution. And then, of course, all of that is centered and supported by mindfulness. Because you have to be present, y'all. You have to be present in order for all of this to be working. If your mind is off somewhere else, distracted, then you don't have the ability to be optimistic or resilient or have gratitude or be in the space to think constructively because you're somewhere else. So that's why mindfulness is so important. If you aren't able to assess yourself, you're not able to pause and to stop and to listen to what's going on in yourself, then a lot of this kind of falls apart. So thank you. Roy says, we are thankful that you're here too. Thanks for that, guy. Okay. So positivity, those are the things in positivity. And so go back and watch the video that we did that walked through each of those. But I do want to talk to you about one of the things that we used, right? One of the tools that we talked about before. That's the 4-point positivity compass. The 4-point positivity compass. And remember, this is a device that we talked about, a mechanism of kind of just remembering where we want to be. So think of yourself sitting, standing with a compass. The compass always points to north. Right? The compass does not tell you where to go, but it tells you where you are in relationship to other things. And so this 4-point positivity compass uses all of those things that we just talked about: optimism, resilience, gratitude, constructive thinking, and mindfulness. And so as you're running into situations, I want you to picture that compass in your hand. Picture the compass in your hand. And you'll see labeled there optimism and resilience and gratitude and so forth. The space where those are doesn't really matter. They could be north, east, south, west. But the one I want you to remember is the center, that mindfulness, because you have to be present. You have to be present in order for you to be able to assess the others. Okay? So once I'm mindful, once I'm here in this space, I can tell myself, and I'm going to go back. You guys heard me talk about being in medical school. Once I am mindful, I can tell myself, okay, that I didn't do well in that exam, but optimistically, I'm planning to do better. I'm going to do better. It's going to work out. All right. I'm mindful. If I'm mindful, I can tell myself, hey, that didn't work, but I'm resilient. So I'm bouncing back now. That didn't work, but I'm mindful. Okay, what do I do? Do I need to go take a class? Do I need to get a study partner? Do I need to review a particular thing? And I'm just so excited, right? Now with the gratitude, I'm just so excited. I'm just so happy that I'm able to study. I'm able to read. I'm able to learn. I'm able to take this exam again. Notice it didn't change the fact. It did not change the fact that I had not passed the exam. But using this method, using this construct, I'm able to walk through those. Okay, so remember the 4-point positivity compass. Make sure that you are using that. Okay, and make sure that you are thinking positively. Remember this idea of neuroplasticity that we talked about? Neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity is an incredible ability that the brain has to reconnect all of these synapses, all of these grooves, all these pathways that have been created in the brain. A lot of times we fall into that negativity trap. But neuroplasticity says, no, we don't have to stay there. We can create new pathways. We don't have to think negatively. We can create a positive pathway. We don't have to be in that same space. And that's the whole idea behind the dopamine and the and the serotonin, because they help to solidify, they help to amplify, they help to strengthen those connections that we're making. Because the positivity that we get, right? And it's kind of like teaching a child. I got a young man in my house now. And I remember when he's coming along, and as we are teaching children, what do? We allow them to do something and they feel more confident and they try to do something more. And they feel more confident, they try to do something more. Feel more confident, they try to do something more. And that's really what's going on, right? Because sometimes it's easy to fall into that trap. But as we practice more and more and more and more, we become more positive. So I'm not saying, you get up tomorrow and you're just like grinning from ear to ear and everything is, pie in the sky. Because life is going to happen, right? As soon as you walk out that door, guess what? You're going to have a flat tire. Or you're going to get stuck in traffic, or you're going to show up at the job and your boss is going to tell you that he needs or she needs that report that they told you next week that was due, that they needed in an hour. Or somebody's going to leave the job and leave you to be the one to take up the slack. Or you're going to be the supervisor and one of your team members is going to quit. Or you're going to be the supervisor and one of the projects that you work on is not going to work. Or you're going to be a content creator and you're going to be working on your channel and you're going to be putting out content and you're not getting the things that you want out of the content and you're not seeing the growth that you want. Or your content is not being consumed the way you expected. Right? So all those things. And how do you live with that? Right? So you practice, you try something and it doesn't work, you try something else, right? So you got to be in that ability, have that in that mindset of, hey, this is my space. This is where I surf. This life that I've got, this is all I got. Right. And as I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself because there are some things that are in my head right now that I say, well, I'm not going to do that because that's not going to work. Well, how do I know it's not going to work? Come on now, right? So we're talking to ourselves. Okay. So remember that positivity does several things. It enhances our cognitive function. When you're positive, you're able to think more clearly. When you're negative, it almost like inhibits the creativity process. It inhibits your ability to process and think and expand beyond where you are. Because when you're negative, all you can see is that little box. It decreases your stress, right? So stress reduction, and it helps you with your resilience. And remember, guys, there are science behind this. This is not just hocus pocus. There's science behind it. And everything that we do is with the intention that it affects the entire body. It's not just an isolated thing. Oh, I thought negatively, and so, yeah. It affects everything in your body is awash with the negative. And so that's why it's so important that we do that, because it affects our body everywhere from our depression, or it decreases depression, our heart, our lungs, our kidneys, our immune system, our blood sugars. All of those things are affected by diabetes, by positivity. Okay, so we want to make sure that you're positive. And how do you do that? You got to practice. If you saw my short that I did, if we're going to be successful, if we're going to be in the space where we want to be, if we want to create the life, if we're going to create the life that we want, then we have to practice. All the stuff that we talk about, this is not just stuff for you to listen to, right? You got to do this. You got to say, hey, there's a situation that just happened. Let me try to apply this 4-point positivity scale. Hey, this is something that happened. Hey, let me try the balance sheet that the positivity balance sheet that Dr. Wood talked about, right? So all the things that we're telling you, these are tools that you gotta be using. And it's not gonna happen overnight. And that's why we keep coming back and say, hey, in this space where we are, this community that we're building, this community is for us to be able to rub with each other, for us to be guardrails for each other, for us to be accountability for each other. So that's why I say I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Create the life you want. And notice I didn't say just get it's create. Because you've got to create the space. You've got to create the environment. Nobody's going to make it for you. And if anyone tells you that it's just going to show up, nope. Just like plants and animals and children, they all have to be cultivated and they all have to be cared for. They all have to be, right? So all those things, they have to happen, right? If I go out there right now, like we were gone for a week, when I came back, there were some weeds that had grown up. Just a week, right, guys? 1 week. I think I'm gonna just put some rocks down and be done with. No, I'm not gonna do that. But it's the same thing here, right? We've got to cultivate it. We have got to help the things we want to grow in our life garden. I like that. I'm gonna use that in our life garden. We've got to cultivate the things we want. We got to get rid of and minimize the things that we don't want. That's that whole idea of letting go that we did that series. Here's the positive mindset. And then to create the new you that we did last year. All of those are tying into each other. And then how does that fit into health? It fits into health because the health, the positivity, the mind affects everything. Everything. Well, cool, guys. I am excited that you were here. I love this series that we have done. The series that we have done, and this is the fourth show in this series that we are doing. This is the final episode of our positive mindset, the power of a positive mindset. If you've not already done so, go back and make sure that you watch through those others. And let me just pop over to our. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, here's our YouTube. Okay, and this episode is going to show up in our list. Remember, we did all those other guys down there. I'm not going to go through those again, but make sure you get out there and take a look at all of those videos that we've done so far. And then if you've not already done so, make sure that you get over to our website as well. But before we get there, let's go ahead. This is a great place for us to do our thought of the day. So let's move and let's do that now. All right. And so this is a simple one. Your positivity has the ability to chart your direction and to chart your success. Your positivity has the ability to chart your direction and to chart your success, in keeping with everything that we've talked about. So as you think, so your life goes. If you are optimistic, if you have gratitude, if you're resilient, if you have a constructive mindset, and if you are practicing mindfulness, then all of those things are putting you in the position of being successful. It does not mean that the first thing you try is going to be successful, but you are heading in the direction of success. And remember, success is not having problems. Success is having a solution to a problem that worked. Now, all the other things that you may have done didn't work, but the one that you did worked and you were successful. And the only reason it worked was because you were optimistic, you were grateful, you were mindful, you were resilient, and you thought constructively. So a positive mindset has the ability to put you in the direction of success in your life. And that is our thought for today. All right. So we are back, y'all. We are back today. And so thank you all for being out there. Make sure that you get over to our website, as I said, and you will see all of our resources out there. Let me see if I make sure I get the right one. I don't know. There we go. So that's our website, Dwayne Wood MD. You will see our blog. Make sure you get out there. We have a good collection of blog posts now, so make sure that you are reading those. And remember, these are corollaries. They are enhancements. They're expansions of the things that we do here on the show, so that we can begin building up, not just you listening to video with me and hanging out, which I love, but then you have some things that you can do. And at the bottom of a lot of the blogs that we do, there is, let me pull up this one. There is this toolbox, and the toolbox on the blog is a tool that we've created for you to use to practice whatever the blog is talking about. Okay, so lots of things that you're there. The toolbox. Make sure you get over to our podcast. If you have people who don't do YouTube and so forth, we've repurposed some of our blogs or our videos there. The coaching program, if you're interested in working with me specifically on an individual basis, you can get over there and you can sign up for our coaching program. So I'd love to come along and walk with you as we create this life that we've always wanted. So guys, thank you, and gals, thank you for being here. We'll look forward to seeing you in the social space. If you see me out there, make sure that you say hello. Remember, you can reach me on any of our social media platforms, and those should be coming up there in just a minute. I think. Nope, not that one. There we go. Here we go. Dwayne Wood MD, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and so forth. We'd love to see you, love to connect with you. But come back, and we will be right here next week at our show, and we'll talk about what we're going to be doing going into our new season. This is Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower. I encourage you to take charge of your health, your life, avoid complications, go to the next level, and create the life you've always wanted. Thank you, guys. Good night.